Yeah! Hello and welcome to this Warno 4v4 game between the Warno Anime Society, that's what WAS stands for, and they've all got really interesting names, which we won't read out. And they're going up against a team that calls themselves Best Toy 4 Players or something. And yeah, we're on Urban Frontlines, which is, I believe they're playing the 2v2 version, or it might even be the 10v10 version. Either way, this is usually played as a 1v1 map. So to have a 4v4 in it gives PACT a huge advantage because basically you can just bring loads of fobs, right? And then just level everything. Strangely enough, though, they've only brought one fob, which is very odd. You'd expect there to be at least two fobs there. 56Y can't bring a fob, and 9th East German can't bring a fob. No, sorry, Donkey Kong can't bring a fob, but 25th and 9th should both be bringing fobs. Anyway, looking at the deployments, obviously we can't cover every unit. There's over 100 on the screen, maybe. I don't know, it's probably closer to 50. Basically, we've got Kawaii Nathan playing as 9th East German, and he's open Napalm to napalm the spawn road. Very, very, very popular tactic. And sorry, I will just edit that part out. And yeah, he's going to be napalming the spawn road, which is pretty popular. And then he's taken golf in sort of a reasonably defensive posture, but then actually he's got some Mott Aufklärer going for this. So Bravo is a middle zone, right? Then you've got Anime Thigh Highs Lover, who I believe is the current rank 1 on the leaderboard. It does change around a lot. This is Krysev or something. Kryjev, something like that. Anyway, he's spamming out the Razvedka BTR-60s and so on, Spetsnaz Gru Stinger, and he's going straight for Bravo with the forward deployed. We probably should have talked, I mean, I've sort of messed this up, haven't I? We should talk about the general deployment strategy and the general draft, but we'll do that at the end now. So then we've got Polish Donkey Kong. No, we just need to do it now, don't we? But then it's going to mess up the timestamps, which I don't actually bother putting in anyway. The generally, you're playing an undersized map against PACT. You'd want to be bringing loads of fobs and stuff and MLRSing, right? If you're PACT, and if you're NATO, you just want to say please change the map. Otherwise, having one NATO with good airborne forward deployed is important. Second Panzergren, as you can see, does have forward deployed, but it's got nothing to defend itself from helicopters at the start, and that is something Red should be exploiting. But Blue should really have opened at least one ASF in order to counter the helicopters, which should be used by Red to hit these. But it looks like Red haven't bothered to try to do that, and Blue hasn't bothered to try to put the counter in, which they didn't need anyway, because Red didn't do it in the first place. So there's this interesting thing in the opener, and generally in Warno, where it's like, I think my opponent will do this, so I need to prepare for that, right? Because units take minutes to reach the front line. But he might not do that. He might do the suboptimal play, which ends up being the optimal play because you prepared for the optimal play and not the suboptimal play. So it makes for an interesting game, right? Anyway, there's a reason we're not all sat here playing competitive rock, paper, scissors or something. So, yeah, we've got Anime Thigh Highs Lover here, just rushing down Bravo with a bunch of Razvedka BTR-60s and stuff, but no... Well, okay, so he's got AA in the form of Spetsnaz Gru Stingers. And he's also going for these points here. So this is probably the best player in the game, so that's one to watch. Then, yeah, additional forces helping out Charlie, but Charlie seems to mainly be the remit of Ruacat, who has opened Pion, which is not intelligent at all. And the reason it isn't intelligent is basically, this is like a sniper rifle with 38k range, and you will not have a target for the first minute. So why Sorry, my chair's a bit creaky there. I need to get the WD-40 out. Why buy this if it's not going to be firing? You might as well have just spent 250 points on, 4 more infantry or 3 T-55s or something. And yeah, so on the right you've got a name I'm not even going to read out, and they're going for India and Echo, which is the middle zone, of course. They might struggle a bit because these, obviously the T-64 is very powerful. T-64 recon tank, very powerful. But if they get drawn into a long infantry engagement with this division, they're going to run out of infantry, and these attract... Oh, sorry, I'll just edit that part out. And so that means if the enemy's coming at you with wheeled, they're going to get there first. So yeah, only one fob, big shame. Switching to their opponents, just, talking about the draft here, like there's something to be said for I'm good at this division, so I'm playing this division, is generally the best draft. If you're really comfortable in one division, you should just play that if you want to win. But if you're a team, you need to work as a team. And here we've got sort of a mid-game infantry division in 24th, a mid-game infantry division in 8th, a mid-game infantry division in 2nd Panzergren, and a mid-game infantry division in 2nd Panzergren. So there's not a strong late game, and there's not a strong early game, but there's a very strong mid-game. But we'll see how it works out, right? But if this goes to 40 minutes, they're gonna really struggle to beat. Well, I don't know, because 9th is all about being a broken division, and 25th is about T-64s, which don't scale too well into the late game. But the idea is that Red's deployment is a bit more like, so you've got Donkey Kong for the early game, and then everybody else sort of backs up. Donkey Kong's decent late as well, but I don't know. I mean, it would have been cool to see a 3rd armored, basically. Or, well, that's about it for late game NATO divs. Thinking about it, 3rd armored is probably the only one I can think of. 5th Panzer Division, but in Urban Frontlines, I can understand going 2nd for the more infantry. What's another late game NATO div? It's crazy. There actually aren't any. They're all unpacked. I'm thinking like 119Y, 79Y, 39Y. Bringing out this T80 spam. Whereas 8th doesn't really get enough M. Oh yeah, 11th ACAV. 11th ACAV is late game div. Because they get loads of M1A1s. But they don't get a lot of infantry. So yeah, I can understand with the map that all these divs are good on this map. Whereas I think 25th Soviet is not that great on this map. Yeah. Anyway, deployments. So on the left we got Griffin 65 here. So this is a 4-stack versus a 4-stack basically. Griffin 65 running in with 2nd Panzergret. Don't tell me they're all going to one build. No, he's just forgotten to path half of them apparently. None of them are pathed apart from one. So we got Griffin 65 throwing. Because we just spoke about how he'd get here first. Obviously, he doesn't know who he's going to be against, right? But only pathing one of your forward deployed units is definitely one of the decisions of all time. And yeah, trying to get a simi around the back, it's a nice idea, but if you really want to do that, you've got to absolutely hug the sides. You can't be leaving that gap there. That could get you killed. We'll see how it works. I don't think it's going to, because this will probably see him. And then, yeah, just forward deployed stuff, and then a Gepard and a Fliegerfaust, and, just some flank stuff. And then in mid, you've got Redemi, also playing 2nd Panzergren, backed up by Baguette enthusiast here. So presumably these guys are all French. And yeah, so 24th is more a bit of the open ground div because of the Bradleys, and their inf isn't actually that good. But does it make a huge difference? I mean, 8th also sort of wants a bit more open ground so it can use the M1A ones. And so Wabber's on the far right. And then you've got Baguette in the middle. 1 fob for the Lars, which is sensible. If you're playing a team game, you want to be bringing 4 Lars as second Panzergren. If you're playing a big team game, I honestly recommend bringing 2 cards of Lars for 4 Lars. Or you could bring them up-vetted and just have 2 up-vetted Lars, which is probably a better idea, actually, because of the supply constraints. Because, yeah, if you bring in 4 Lars, you'd need 2 fobs. Because 2 Lars will run through a fob by themselves. So, yeah, you could bring 2 up-vetted Lars or 4 regular Lars if you got 2 fobs. And that would be very useful on this map. And we see Lars alert there. So we'll cast the game. We shall do so from this perspective. Right, so they're off, and once again, it's time to thank the generous channel joiners, generously joiner in the channel. They wouldn't do something as dishonourable as trying to napalm Arty the spawn road. This is messing up Red's deployment, though. Oh, there you go, they did buy a tornado. So that's intelligent of them. And yeah, their opponents brought a MiG-23ML. You do not want to be diving that. Anyway, here comes the snow, and my man hasn't done his timings here. The reason you don't want to be diving this is because you're going to fly over the enemy AA and die, which has just happened. So that was very sad. But yeah, if he'd timed this, he would have been able to hit it like here and kill them all while they were, while it would land on them. But, it requires a lot of effort. And either way, it has accomplished great things, because if Redemi here doesn't wake up, these 2 guys are going to die. Okay, he's woken. I wake. It's like the opposite of I sleep. Anyway, the Pion hit absolutely nothing, as we spoke about, because they're not there yet. And so that was just a waste at the start, buying that. But yeah, sending that tornado forwards was pretty rough. Interested to see... So he is still going forwards, but he's put the Stingers a bit further back. Napalm coming out again. If you stay in the buildings, you survive. If you leave the buildings because you're like, I gotta get out of here, it's on fire, you die. And so we got Redemi here walking into fire, but once you're in the building, you're fine, you see? So he took some damage outside, but once he got inside, he's fine. Look, this is fine, this is taking damage. It's really weird, but it is just the way it is. Anyway, Wabber here needs to get some of his guys in buildings. Like one there, one in the forest, because they're just taking too much damage here for no good reason. This ACAV could be brought up to help, but the main thing is getting that Stinger up to smack that urn about a bit. And I hear Lars sounds. Here we go, 2 Lars, and an M109. So, pretty big artillery investment. I understand the 2 Lars, right? Because you can basically buy both. It's 280, so if he'd save 20 points, he's just got that in the first minute, which is very sensible, and it is good against these buildings here. Over here, Griffin did end up pathing his units, and he did get there first. He's got to be careful. I mean, he's just sort of stood around in the open getting shot. Hopefully that Gapin makes it, depending on who you're rooting for. But Anime Thigh Highs Lover has taken Bravo, whereas Griffin has taken Echo, but has not secured it yet. So, +1 for Red. In mid, it's going much better for Blue. Still neutral. Oh, here's the CV. And, yeah, so it's just a case of this was just 1 guy against 2 guys. So, obviously, he lost. And the fire support is paying dividends here. I assumed that it would get shot by a bunch of Conkers, but this building was never had a Conkers put in it, which is really weird. Neither did this building. They were all here, and then they all died to the Lars. So that means the Leopards can move up. But yeah, not having anybody in here is very sad. So we brought the funny Nebelwerfer thing. Anyway, I missed that bomber. So these are reloading, and they reload really fast. So if you bring 2 at 1 vet, you can really smack them out, because then you put a CV next to it, and then they're at 2 vet, and they reload really fast. And yeah, that's a lot of fun. But you're making big losses in the rest of your deck for that. So Ihawk's coming out, which is pretty sensible. And you got to think about the team effort, right? So if you're Baguette, you should be like, mate, don't buy Fliegerfaust, I'll get the Stingers. And then you got to make sure the Stinger's there. But you see over here, Anime Thigh Highs Lover has taken this zone. And the question is, like, so where's the extra player for Red? Because it was 2v1 here. The extra player is here. And you've got 2 guys fighting Wabber. And Wabber, he's lost Bravo. Okay, not great. But, Kawaii Nathan and Anime Thigh Highs Lover really need to push Alpha super duper fast before these guys start sorting them out. Like, there's a lot of guys sat here not really doing anything. I understand they're waiting for the fire support. So yeah, he's taken that out, and you can, you know, turn off cover and just leave it behind. He's actually come out, so I think he'll still get shot. He wants to be behind there, you know, retreat units. It's difficult to micro, but I think, you know, Wabber, he's realised, okay, what's the problem here? The problem here is, okay, I've lost this zone, probably not getting that one back 1v2. I need to make sure they don't get the next zone. So he's allocated his forces correctly here. He's put them in the right place. Lars going off again. You love to see it. You know, you buy arty, sorry, it should be firing or reloading. Do you see what I mean? It can reload while moving, so it should be firing or reloading, and there should be a CV next to it as soon as you can afford one, right? Like this one, great. Click this, click F, click on the Lars. And you see he's queued up the move orders and stuff. Right, so, you know, Baguette here needs to be firing this, because, you know, you paid good money for that. And now it's just a case of, so blue, they're going further in, which is admirable. But what I'd love to see is a little bit of, you know, putting guys here so that trying to help out Wabber a little bit. Do you see what I mean? Because Wabber's getting smoked here, 2v1. But, you know, he's done a really good job of holding. These M113s have been killing the infantry in the open. And, you know, Kawaii Nathan, you got to appreciate that most of his, like, literal, over a fifth of his starting points just went into the Napalm Grad. So that made his opener a bit weaker than you'd expect. Anyway, so you see the counter battery coming in, and this is why you never want to fire from next to your fob, because you'll get your fob killed. And I think Wabber's doing a great job here. But yeah, 2v1 in over here was smart. I mean, if you're playing team, you need to act like a team, and you need to think, where do we push, where do we defend? And as long as everybody's on the same page, like, I don't know if they actually planned this. Obviously, they planned to put 2 people in the middle, but they probably assumed the enemy would also have 2 people in the middle. I don't know, right? Anyway, so Anime Thigh Highs Lover started buying these very, very strong cluster things, but this is a minute's income. That's 250 points. It is very, very strong. You see it killed those 2 Bradleys. Well, I killed 1 Bradley. And yeah, Blue's push is a bit zealous. And you see Anime Thigh Highs Lover now trying to help out his teammate. It is a bit of a zealous push. I think it would have been better to secure this. And yeah, send a couple units down there, but then pivot some of these guys out to here and start hitting this in the side. And that is still happening, actually. Redemi is moving up here and slowly pushing Anime Thigh Highs Lover back. So yeah, Mech Rifle's Dragon came down by 5 points, as did Mech Rifle's Law. So that's good news. And there you go, Redemi, he's got the CV next to his Lars. So that's cool. And then the next advanced strat is that if they start reloading while they're firing, they resupply faster. So forget he's still not, he's not counter battery, whereas this guy, he's like next level, you know, he's got the CV. So basically that could already have started reloading now if you had a supply with it. I mean, it's not, that's like very high micro for what it's worth. Putting the CV next to it's a nice easy one. There you go. So the 56Y cluster mortar aims really fast, especially if you put a CV next to it, which he hasn't done. And it's got a very tight dispersion circle. It's got the same dispersion circle at max range as a mortar does at its max range, or is it at its min range? Either way, it means it's got a very tight dispersion circle. So Napalm Grad trying to counter battery, but Griffin here. I really like the M1102s, so Baguette doesn't actually get that, but everybody else does. Because, yeah, they're very effective, especially if you put a CV next to it. I do like the CV play, and I like the moving after the counter battery. It's good. It's good to see. You know, I can't sit here and just take credit and say everybody just copies me. Like, this is just the way it should be done. But I'd like to think I've popularized such techniques. I like to point them out where I can. So Kawaii Nathan and Anime Thigh Highs Lover are in a pretty rough spot here because Thigh Highs Lover can't afford to send all his units over here because he is being shot in the side by Redemi. So it's a good play from Redemi, as we spoke about, trying to hit this, trying to push this. Because if you can get to there, you cut the reinforcement route, so it's worth doing. And, you know, it is tough to push this, You could try, and I think it's good that they tried, but now they've recognised, okay, we can't, and then they've gone back, which I think is intelligent, and now they're putting their focus on hitting this, because that then takes the pain off Wabber, because then he's 1v1 as opposed to so on and so on. So, you know, the fact that there's only one fob, but there are 3 grads and 2 cluster mortars and 2 pions and a mister is, you know, just poor team play. They should have had at least 2 fobs. Obviously, their loadout means they can only get 2 fobs, but they should have had 2 fobs. And you see that the cluster mortars, they are very effective. But what this means is, I mean, this guy has literally just spent the last 4 minutes just buying artillery, and now he's buying even more. And in the meantime, Blue, they have bought quite a bit of arty, but they've bought a lot of units as well. And so that means, you know, Wabber was able to defend, right? And you know, Baguette and Redemi were able to just fill this with so many guys that Red's never really pushing them out. Over here, you know, this is a pretty static front. Griffin got it at the start because of 25th's lethargic deployment. Like, what should have happened there is Ruakat should have spotted him a unit. Or somebody just spot him a forward deployed unit. Just, hey, can you just send me 1 forward deployed ATGM to go there, please? And that would have stopped Blue from getting in at the start, or at least held him off long enough for the other stuff to arrive. The double seed is an idea, but because of suppress on miss, they're both being suppressed by the same missile. You see, actually, I think they all got suppressed by those 2 missiles. So instead of waiting for his cohesion to come back, he's just diving, and I think that, yeah. Kwai Nathan didn't even have to switch these on. So yeah, that's well, I mean, blimey, everybody's dying. Generally, using air in big team games is rough, especially if you're NATO, because the amount of bucks on the enemy team is usually very far. Sorry, Cubs on the enemy team is usually very high. So yeah, just like way too much artillery for the. I mean, like, have these 2 even fired? No. So yeah, there's you know, if you're behind on points, what you need to do is first ascertain, because you're a team, right? This is a 4-stack versus a 4-stack. You say, okay, so which one, like, where do we get our points back? We're on a -2, we need a zone. Which zone should it be? So you could say it's this zone, because a few minutes ago, Red was doing really well here. So all the arty and the Air Force and everything should be put on this, right? You work with your team. Okay, team, we need a zone. We need to stop the bleed. Let's take this zone. All the arty goes on that, right? And look how much there is. This is ridiculous. There's way too much. But if they did focus it all, like, it doesn't have to be that zone. It could be this zone, right? You could say, okay, well, let's all go for Echo. And all the arty should be on Echo. Whereas instead, the arty is just being scattered around sort of everywhere. They're getting kills. Don't get me wrong, they're getting kills. But in each sector, they're not inflicting enough losses to stop the tick. So there's a case to be made for team play, right? And yeah, you definitely don't want to be buying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grads with 1 fob. It's just a bit daft. Also, this isn't moving. So yeah, it's you hate to see it. I think Red threw away quite a bit of their momentum. Like, they had something good going here, and then Thai Heisler had just bought 4 minutes worth of arty, and oh, here's some more arty. Yeah. So just too much arty here. They're still buying it. Okay, so they're actually starting to think. Okay, so now they're doing what I just said. So they're like, all right, okay, so let's take a zone. This is probably the easiest one to take, so it's closer to our spawn. This is quite far away. Everybody hit the same thing. Almost everybody hit the same thing. The Lars died because he didn't move it. Or it might have been hit by a cluster mortar. The sound that I heard sounded a lot like a cluster mortar. Yeah, I think it was hit by a cluster mortar. They shoot really fast, and the Lars spends a long time to prepare its volley, so you have to interrupt the Lars volley if you want to survive 56Y cluster mortars. The 56Y cluster mortar is just OP, and one can hope that it will be brought into line soon. The way I personally would think it should be nerfed, I mean obviously it's not up to me, is the fact that this has a reload time of 30 seconds when it's basically an Acacia, right? Whereas the Pion with it 203 has a 64 reload, right? The the 152's 48 seconds, grads over 100, whereas this thing for some reason 24 seconds. Obviously it's up there, right? It's 30 at base, and that doesn't make sense. Should be shooting that fast. The aim time is also quite low for the caliber of weapon. The aim time is quite low, which means it's very, very easy to counter battery things. So now we see Harriers coming in, which I'm not so sure about at all. Then that's quite about as well as you might imagine. Harriers in a 4v4 against Cubs. Yeah, it's going about as well as you might imagine. Oh, Tornado Seed! Oh, I missed. Okay. That was a cool idea. Oh, no, he got one. He got one. So, yeah, the three Harriers, I mean, if you're going to do that, put them all in one place. Preferably on one side of the map, so you're not flying over the AA of everybody. But, yeah, I think Red now has recognized, okay, we need to take a zone or we're going to lose, and this is the zone, Griffin's zone. And sadly, he just wasted a minute's income on 3 planes, which didn't really achieve much of anything. So basically there needs to be some help for Griffin here. I like how he's saving his guys, but if this was in here, he'd be killing those. And I do like the Milans and stuff, the side shots, one here, one there. He's got a good disposition, but he's got a lot of arty that he's not using. These should all be shooting. The mortars, pew, 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 pew. You've always got to be careful when that 56Y cluster thing's on the map, because it's just so stupid. It can shoot any artillery and kill it. But yeah, rather than help Griffin, they've gone for okay, if everybody's sending their forces there, we'll all push our zone strategy, which is also useful. And they're giving some air, which is the easiest way to help your team, air and arty. Sadly, that didn't drop. It's a shame, because if he'd actually done that properly, he would have got quite a few guys. So he probably wouldn't have killed him with it being cluster, but would have dealt some damage. So yeah, it's a shame about those Lars, but they take so long to fire the salvo that the cluster mortar gets them. And really the only solution is, I can't even remember what the Lars range is. I don't actually think you can even outrange, maybe sit it back in this corner or something. So here we go, mortars firing now. And yeah, it's not looking great for Griffin. I think Redemi and Baguette could transfer a lot of their mobile units here. The Leopard 2s, the Leopard 1s, the Bradleys, they could all be moved over here and be helping. Right, the infantry takes too long to get there. But instead, okay, so they are attacking here, which is intelligent. But there's a lot of units sat here not doing anything, which really could have been quite useful here. So now it's a +2 for Red, because they've now got 2 middle zones. And yeah, it's not looking good for Blue, although they have managed to get in here. There are a lot of baddies, and yeah, just not using their forces, man. I need to stop repeating myself. Not using. It's just not using. And here we go. The Bradleys are starting to move out. So these forces could either, I did it again, could either be used on the right or the left, but they shouldn't just be sat there not doing anything. They should definitely be doing something. Incoing. And yeah, if the arty pieces get out, that's all good. If the CV dies, it's not the end of the world. That Strike Eagle did quite well for itself. The fact that the 25th player doesn't have a bunch of Cubs here is weird. But yeah, just like way too much arty, man. So he's got 4 grads by himself and 2 misters. You can drain a fob with 2 grads. So four grads is yeah, basically the only person who should be bringing grads on red is the 56Y player because he gets them at 1 vet for free. And then he can say, somebody else bring me a fob. And then the 56Y player should be handling that, because look, these come at 1 vet for free, whereas these come at no vet. The 56Y grad is the only full grad in the game that comes at 1 vet. He's fast pathed it, but they're still going to go through the fire. Yeah, he's noticed now. So, looking a bit worse for blue now. Whoopsie daisy, sorry. Breaking my table there. Looking a bit worse for blue now, but it really depends on this leopard too. I'm noticing a lack of smoke. But, yeah, I mean, this is weird as well. There shouldn't really be 6 guys in this tiny little forest and 4 guys in this tiny little forest. It should be a bit more spread out. And there you go, the cluster mortars, I think. No, they're just regular mortars. Yeah, that CV went about as well as you might expect. So this is here, but those cluster mortars are probably going to go in on it. Okay, grads. But it'll neutralise it, which will stop the tick. Because it is dead, but it's neutralised. The tick has stopped. Yeah. Things happening. I don't know, I mean, so blue have started to realise their forces here have, you know, are sat here not doing anything, and they've started moving some of them over. But like, imagine if these leopards and stuff were here. Imagine if this Marder was here. Imagine if this Toe 2 was here, right? They'd be shooting all this in the side, and this wouldn't be happening. There's a lot of forces here just not really doing anything. It's very sad. You hate to see it, etc. So just something to keep in mind. You know, you got guys. You need to spread them out a bit. So the tick stops. And red, if they get a CV back in here, will start ticking up. So, just waiting for that, I guess. And blue in the middle is slowly waking up to the fact that they've got a lot of units not doing anything. Yeah, if they'd employed that, because you see, red is acting a little bit more like a team, right? They said, okay, let's all attack here, and they took it. Good for them. And then they said, let's all attack here, and they took it. So, it's a little bit more team play from red there. And yeah, here comes a cluster rounds. What are they going on? Getting that supply. Really, really OP unit, mainly because of the aim time and the reload time. And the dispersion. So mortars coming out. It's a bit weird though, because he's put all the smoke on there, then all the smoke on there, then all the smoke on there. That's not how you want to do it. You want one to smoke this loads, one to smoke this loads, one to smoke this loads. Otherwise this smoke is gonna, you know, you don't need 3 things smoking one thing, basically. Having said that, he has the fire superiority, so the smoke, if he had smoked as I'd said, his Marders wouldn't have been able to kill that unit. So the smoke can be put behind the enemy you want to kill, so the smoke can be put here, here, and here, and then you can kill all the infantry, right? But it depends what your strategy is. Obviously, Marder 1A3 Milans do not beat T-72s. And yeah, this is looking pretty rough for red. I mean, the arty's online. It will run out of ammo reasonably quickly. Because there's only one fob here. It's only got, you know, less than half left. And yeah, we see Wabber and Baguette and Griffin and Demi all trying to get this back. So there you go, some team play, good teamwork. And I think Wabber's contribution should be to push these guys up to here. I don't know if you can actually see that they're there, but you know, if you get up to here, then you can shoot them in the sides, right? And you could use your tanks rather than just running into the front of him over and over and over again. Same for Redemi and Baguette on this side. They can, if that Leopard 2 was here, it'd be shooting all these guys as they come down this road. You know, that fleet of fast up here, that'd be shooting this. There's just a lot of units just not firing. It's very sad. So there you go, cluster mortars. You basically got to move your tanks every 12 seconds. And down they go. It's very, very difficult to deal with. It's a very overpowering unit. So Nathan here with the smoke, and then he's moved the mortars. I think blue are buying too many planes, really. Like, reds, cubs are just overwhelming. But, you know, Griffin over here is having some decent luck. Or decent success, I should say. And look, it's because he smoked off the enemy tanks. Oh, I'm a genius. I'm so smart right now. So yes, big brain movement, big brain maneuver. And the way you counter that, if you're Wincest over here with your, you know, your literally 8 arty pieces, is you task your arty pieces to kill the mortars doing the smoke. And so the grads can kill this, right? Because it's sat in smoke. The grads saturation area of effect. That's what you put on this. The misters need to be shooting the panzer mortars. They shouldn't just be allowed to sit here and smoke off all your fire support. People just don't get that though. They find it very difficult to do. It is difficult to do. So Blue's attack here was repelled, but now Red is overextending. Like, they could be sitting in these buildings is sensible, but going all the way down here, it's like, to what end? The enemy tanks coming the other way are just going to shoot you when you're in the fields, right? Whereas if you sit in these buildings, or even better behind them, just slightly behind them, you got to turn off the auto cover though. You know, get into these buildings, push this way. Don't just run into the killing fields, because that was just that's like 4-5 infantry or something dead for nothing. Over here, this was basically just infantry and smoke. There was no fire support with it or anything, so it went as well as you might expect. It's a nice try, like, but yeah. So okay, so the napalm grad's on it, which is actually going to kill the motor strelky that's trying to find him, but it will eventually get this MP leader. So there's nowhere to hide, really. You're just going to melt. But yeah, just these are out of ammo, so they should have had an ammo. Yeah, you can put it there, and then they've all got ammo. But yeah, they should be getting counter battery. There's so much arty there, and none of it's being used against the important target. So we saw this guy before. Last time he didn't drop. He's evac the wrong way. You want to be evacing this way, because going over the middle of the map opens you up to fire. But he got out, I think. Like, there was the fact that there's no Cubs here from the 25th player is really weird. There should be 4 Cubs here. Or at least 2, right? Like, Nathan had the right idea with his Cubs. But yeah, no Cubs. Anyway, Blue, you know, they're trying, but they're just getting messed up by the... I don't even know what it was going on. It might have got a Topaz 2 AP. Well, that Apache just cleaned up a T-64. So yeah, this is teamwork here. We've got 2 players here, push it, 3 even. Wabber is here too. So they're like, okay, well, we haven't succeeded here. Let's go for the next one. This did miss. Weird. No suppression on that guy. Usually there is. So, but yeah, Blue can't just sit in the corner of a zone because Red has all the MLRS. It's really team games are an uphill battle for NATO in general, because of there's just too much MLRS. They need to do something about that. There should be fewer of them. Fewer per card is the way I'd do it. Make it go to 1 per card, and then increase the number of cards. So if people want to bring 10 million, they can, but it's going to cost them more in the rest of their deck. Because right now, you can the fact that you can get 2 without it really costing you anything is... I mean, there is a supply cost, but that doesn't kick in until about 30 minutes into the game. Which is going to happen soon, actually. They are starting to run out of supply. So eventually, Blue will get their mojo back. Be back on a level playing field. I was going to say get their advantage, but not really. They'll just be back on a level playing field. So that was sort of poly micro. It's probably not going to make it out. But it's just really strange that the guy with all the Cubs just hasn't bought any. You could get 8 Cubs as that div. He's just buying Iglas. Really weird. Anyway, so Red, they've taken this, but I'll be honest, it is looking a bit ropey, a bit thin on the ground. And now they're trying to push for mid. I think, honestly, the plan should be to hold on to what gains you already have, so this zone and this zone, rather than pushing mid with a bunch of armor, which is, you know, not ideal. I suppose they probably assumed that blue would move their units out here and put them elsewhere. You know, if this was in there, it could shoot. But blue didn't do that. They just left everything here. So, so that's now paying off. Great. And on this side, you know, red getting lit up basically. He took the zone back, but then he kept pushing, and Griffin's got a pretty good killing field set up here. You know, he's got ATGMs in this nice big arc. Obviously, the one that was here died, but. So yeah, red, they're trying to switch it up, trying to push mid, but actually, all this time, these units have just been sat here, and now that is suddenly a good move, because now they're in the right place. But look at that. Look at that. Somebody's not been spending their income. Somebody's not been spending their income. Okay, so with 10 minutes left, they're like, right, well, let's just YOLO mid. But they're not. I mean, look where they're unloading. Shouldn't they be unloading over here? At least this should be sent forwards to that building so you can see, and then you can upload a bit closer. But yeah, the objective is clear, to push them out of mid. Like, they've got both sides back and they're still playing aggressive, which you do like to see. If you play defensive, you give your enemy time to recover, but there is always the danger of overextension, so it's not easy. Anyway, one of these Panzer Morsers must have died, because there's only two now. And yeah, once all this shows up, I'm actually not sure what blue's going to do, because there's a lot there. There is a lot there. And yeah, 120mm going. Napalm grad. This hasn't moved all game. It's interesting. Still got loads of supply with it as well. I mean, it has a very high supply cost, but it takes a very long time to shoot. So yeah, these can survive the counter battery if they move immediately after shooting. The main thing is, do you see how it takes ages to turn? So what you do is you queue a fire order, and then you tell it to reverse away from the fire order, or go forwards towards the fire order, you know, on shift click. Because it will turn to face the target, and then when you tell it to move to the right, it turns to the right, and then it dies. The best thing to do is get a road that goes towards your target, because then you can fast path it down the road without having to turn too much, but just general tactics, like, so yeah, so he's told it to go to there, and that's fair enough, right? But what's going to happen after this shoots is it's going to, see how it turns to face the target? Once it finishes shooting there, it's going to, yeah, so red, they've got in, although I think they just lost a bunch of things to a cluster plane. So, right now, I am turning, I am turning, I am turning, I am turning, I am turning. So that's about 6 or 7 extra seconds where you might die. So, just something to keep in mind. Basically, queue up your order to go forwards or backwards along the line of, you know, you getting to the enemy. So, blue have started to counter push this with all their stuff. They have managed to push back into here. And the grads, you know, he's run out of the fob now. So he's got a problem, hasn't he? I mean, these are going to fire, and that's the last time they're going to shoot. So, yeah, I mean, really cool game. There's been lots of back and forth here, but I think Red's push on mid was perhaps a step too far, especially given that they're not synchronizing their attacks. Like, Ruakat is back here, Kawaii Nathan's up here, Anime Thigh High's Lover with all the fire support is back here, and so this is just infantry running across a field, which is very rough. And like, these pions should be, you know, okay, there's a guy in that building, there's a guy in that building, there's a guy in that building. So it is not fantastic. You know, the misters, they're not shooting. But it is still +2 for red. It's looking like this isn't working out, because all of the Marauder's are just shooting all this infantry, and there's no attempt to take out the fire support, right? You'd need tanks, you'd need T-72s, basically. Oh yeah, the cluster mortars are good against the, you know, the stuff, right? The IFVs, but they can only really kill them so fast. Basically, you'd want to be gradding this before you go in, and they've got all these grads, but they were all tasked onto other things. Like, obviously the grad... I keep saying obviously. The grads are needed here to stop this. But they were also needed here. And there's... You know, considering that these were the high vet grads, I don't think I've seen them shoot all game. And those were the high vet grads. But yeah, it is a +4 for red, because they've neutralized Sentry as well. And blue needs to get back one of these zones. I mean, they are winning. There's 5 minutes left. It's looking like the supply situation has actually held out for red team. I mean, with only 5 minutes left. Having said that, I'm pretty sure these two just weren't shooting the whole game. Over here, there's not. This is like a low intensity front now. Blue have managed to get back in on the left, but it's the case of here comes the grads, here comes the grads, here comes the grads. But once again, oh, okay, so somebody has been counter batterying these. So there's only one left. So that's cool. I do like that. I think that's very smart. And red is taking mid. So it's looking pretty Jova for blue, man. 4 minutes left on that +2. And it's soon going to be a +4 because this guy will just get hit by the next wave. But you see, intelligently, he is smoking in front of the CV. Because if you smoke on the CV, they just hit the smoke with the grads. So you got to smoke in front of it and just hope, you know, try and get it in such a way that people won't have LOS on your CV, which is not easy. And in the meantime, you know, red team, they've got all these mortars for smoke, but they're not using them. And so instead, they're putting their CV in this corner over and over again, and then it's getting hit by planes, it's getting hit by arty. And look at this. Redemi says, hey, there's nobody here. Literally writes open. There's that CV, bros. There's nobody here. Summon the elector counts. Where are the people? They've not got long to act, because red will be like, oh, we just lost our CV in that zone, I'll buy another one. But yeah, the ticker's stopped. We'll see for how long. This guy's trying to get out. A good way you can do that is to put an M113 next to him. And so if he starts getting hit by that arty, you load him up and reverse the M113, because it's a bit more protected than just infantry. And yeah, the arty party is certainly something. But blue has got in here. They just need to push. Like this Wabber, all of them are all over the map, so it's kind of hard to pay attention. But you should be like, Wabber, get your mech rifles laws up. And who's the second Panzergren player there? You can't even tell, but there's another player there with his units. It's going to be one of the second Panzergren players. Like, these two should just be in there. Because look, here comes the CV. Should really be backed up by some infantry, but... oh yeah, that's just dead. He's saying, send the CV into the mid. Send the CV into the mid. He's pinging his friend. He's pinged him some more. Because it is wheeled, so it'll be faster, right? But yeah, a lot of that comes down to these guys, you know, they were using the 82mm for something other than smoke. Over on this side, somehow, Baguette has got in and Wincest here hasn't actually, you know, he's just cancelled the pathing on his CV. It was going to come in here and he cancelled it. +4 for blue. Have they turned it around? I mean, whoa, mate, those cluster mortars, they're nasty. And yeah, it's like red, they've now got 3 CVs, 4 CVs coming in here. And this just isn't... He's just stopped pathing it. So it's now +6 for blue. They just took all 3 zones back at the end, or at least this one wasn't taken, and they took the other 2 back. So yeah, there's lack of defense here. There was just nobody here because of that overextension. You know, he lost those 4 infantry units. Imagine if he kept them in here. 1 in there, 1 in there, 2 in here. They wouldn't have been able to walk in like that. And then in mid, they could have used those 82mm to smoke it up a bit and get their CVs in a wider area than just that tiny little corner where it just kept dying over and over again. On this side, I think blue did a really good job, and it's just really strange to see how effective blue's air was against a div that gets 4 cubs. Sorry, 8 cubs. It can get 8 cubs. And we didn't see a single one. Didn't see a single cub out. So you've got Ruacat, who has the worst AT in the game. Out of these 8 players, that guy's got the worst AA, sorry, the worst AA. And he's given his teammate the AA. And that's been sent in now, and they're on a +4, but imagine if he'd done that a bit earlier, you know? I mean, they're back on a +4, like, they took this, they got this back with the smoke. With 44 seconds left, I mean, if they get this, it'll be a +6, right? So they need to move around. Baguette, he's doing a great job microing. But imagine if Wincest here had been a little bit faster with that T64. I got that in. It would have been +4 earlier. Like, Red have completely broken through here. They're gonna get a +8, +6 even, if they take that one. Wabba here, he could move this, but people are just sort of forgetting about their units. They're not really doing a good job of dealing with this. I mean, you can systematically find it. And also, like, why was this allowed to shoot smoke? It hasn't been moving. I suppose this is the one shooting. So it looks like it's going to be a victory, but for who? But for who? It was a victory for blue team. France did it. So yeah, GG. It was a pretty good game. Obviously, obviously a good game. We only show good games on this channel. So Redemi here, also an anime enthusiast apparently. They're all anime. They're all anime. What is that? Oh, it is an anime person. Under that parasol. I was like, maybe this one isn't anime. No, they're all anime. So, not many games. You know, 0% ranked win rate. And the most kills on his team. So, 2,000 games. Wow. 300 games. 260 games. 1,000 games. And this guy's the current rank one, as we spoke about. So, yeah, obviously he's a very good player. Kwai Nathan, 760 games. Wincest, 1,200. And Rua Cat, 268. So these guys, definitely the underdogs. Definitely playing a map favourable to PACT. So GG. GG to the Anti-Anime Alliance, who also like anime, for beating Warno Anime Society. If you like the video, do please like it. Makes YouTube recommend it to more people, and I'll see you around.